Part of the reason why I have so many snare drums, apart from obviously having more money than brains, I like to have the right tool for the right job generally as a whole. My current gig, or my current main gig, as you'll be able to see there, or at least get some indication of, is, as I've said before, is a ska band. And ska music, at least in this band, generally means a snare drum tone that is at the lowest, a sort of a mid-range thing, going to a quite high-pitched range. And for the most part, I don't really have much cause to use anything else live, except for the odd couple of songs where I put a small quarter of a muffle ring just to bring the tone down a little bit. But that's a quick fix, really, for just the odd song. Now, I don't normally, and I've never historically, ever set up one specific drum for one specific purpose with one specific sound in mind. Except for this drum. The main reason that I've set this drum up the way I have, as might become apparent in the moment, is because it's 14 by 8 inches deep. This was probably one of the first snare drums I got from Tom Meadows, and I think I've probably had it at least 5 years now at this point. From what I remember, he was having a bit of a clear out of his deeper snare drums. I think he likes to experiment with his sounds, and clearly, given that I've got a 13 by 9 over there, which was his, he was at one point favouring deeper snare drums, because I've had the 13 by 9, this drum, which is a 14 by 8, and another 14 by 8 from him. So he likes to change it up and experiment with deeper drums. But anyway, he was getting rid of this particular drum, and it had one word associated with it, which is one of my favourite words, Craviotto. I went down and I met with him at one of the rehearsal studios where I think he was doing a session, actually. If my memory's correct, then I think this was actually the first time I met him. And I ended up, we ended up having a chat off in the sort of side part of this rehearsal studio, or well, it's a rehearsal recording studio. And for those that know London, or the London studios, it was Panic in West London. But we ended up meeting and then probably having a chat for about 2 hours about nothing other than drums, which was great fun. And then basically he had to dash off to his session in another part of the building. But this particular snare drum is, well, here it is, in fact. So there you go. Where's the badge? Where's the badge? There's the badge, right. There you go. As you can see, it's a hybrid. It's cherry, bird's eye maple, and walnut. It's, as I said, it's a 14 by 8. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 lug. So you've got 10 long tube lugs there. Still got the Aquarian head on it, which Tom favours. Still got the Craviotto wires on it, and in fact it's still got the Aquarian head on the top as well. But I've gone and basically set this up that way, and I've set this up really because after much playing around, I'm going to put that down before I drop it. I set that up the way I did for two reasons, really. The first one is because after much playing around with that particular drum, trying to get a sort of deeper tone out of it, that was the only thing I could. That was the only way I could think of really sort of lowering the pitch enough to kind of bring out some of the depth in the body. And the other thing is Steve Jordan, as I've mentioned before, Steve Jordan, and I think really the sort of a Vultures sound off Continuum, John Mayer Continuum, if you're familiar with that particular tune. But I was kind of going along those lines. It's not quite as sort of wet as the snare drum sound on that particular track, but it's kind of getting there. It's certainly the wettest snare drum sound I currently have. This drum's tuned still quite high. Yeah, there's still quite a reasonable amount of play in that head. But at the moment, it feels okay to me, and it sounds okay to me. I am doing a recording session at some point over the next couple of months. I think we're doing a demo first, and then we're going to do a more formal studio recording. And one of the things the guy whose session it is wanted to get together was basically a 70s type drum sound, and that is probably going to be featured quite heavily on some of those tracks, I think, because as hopefully you'll hear, it is certainly going the way of the 70s drum sound, if it's not quite all there. I think maybe I may need to detune it slightly just to get a little bit more 70s sound out of it. So that's it really, I think, for this drum. There's not really that much to say about it. I got it, and I played around with it for a little bit and could never get that much of a sound out of it that I liked. And then it was only more recently that I started to play around with it again, and I went down the route that I ended up with, which was obviously the gaffer tape with, I think there's some tissue under there as well. But it could go lower. I think it probably will go a little bit lower, and I may put some more gaffer tape on there just to wetten it up a little bit more. But as and when I do that session, I guess I'll figure that one out. But anyway, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. So, a couple of things I forgot to mention before. So, first thing is this drum is from 2010. The second thing, which is slightly more cool, is that it's got different reinforcement rings on it. So on the bottom here you've got a maple reinforcement ring, and on the top there around you've actually got a walnut ring. So there. So yes, so two different reinforcement rings, and the edges are 45s, or at least certainly the bottom one is. I think the top one is too. So there you go.